Monday, September 16th, market analysis. Stan Ehrlich, good morning. 9:53 California time. We have a lot of nothing. So far this morning, the spider is down 60 cents, not even a full point. The E-mini is down about the same, of course, 6 points, very little. Six translates into 0.6 on the spider, 1/10 difference, 10 times, whatever, backward, forward. Now, we don't have a higher high than Friday, and Friday was a strong up day, but we're getting very close to, and in some cases overbought in stock market indexes. Well, I don't actually not yet, but close to overbought in the indexes. But we are in an area of resistance where the market has, since essentially the middle of July, topped out a little bit higher than late August, slightly lower than the July highs, and now maybe a third time, even slightly lower. Now, this is kind of describing a bear trend line and maybe a pennant formation, but the point is the market hasn't really decided on which way it's going to make its next big move. I continue to remind you that the market has a very, very strong historical tendency to create a bottom of some significance in October, next month. So, since 1993, when the spider started to trade, I believe only three, you might say four, occasions we have not had a low in the month of October that has allowed for a decent rally out of October into November and December. Sometimes it's very mild, but it's there. Sometimes it's tremendously significant, and that would be the last 2 years. And I don't want to plant in your head that it has to happen this year because it's happened over 90% of the time since 1993. It still could fail. But the odds are very strong. The likelihood is very strong that we will get a buying opportunity sometime during October. Therefore, I continue to look for reasons just to expect a bit of a decline. Now, what happens if I'm all wet and I'm totally wrong and this market just explodes in price real quick and runs up into new high ground and the bull market continues? Well, we're not far from being overbought, so that would probably generate an overbought condition. But then you're going to have a lot of support underneath the market, and it makes it a little less likely that the October low is going to be as profound as I think it might be and still could be, and I think it should be at this point. So let's go to more detail on the E-mini. And you've got the 1 minute chart, and it's just floundering here since yesterday afternoon, going pretty much sideways. A little increased volatility. I do have to point out, going backward to the daily chart, that we got a buy signal on September 11th. I showed you that. And the system ER signals did get long because of the buy signal, and it is still long, going back to the 1 minute chart. And there we are, the current tick. Our stop is the yellow dotted line right there. I just highlighted it or put handles, as we say, on it. And what can I say? The system outguessed me and guessed correctly and got long, and it's turning out to be a darn good trade. Let's go to the spider, which we had gotten short. But remember, the signals are not quite the same because of the shorter time frame that the spider trades from 6:30 to 1 o'clock California time. That's AM to PM, the same calendar day. But the E-mini trades 23 hours a day and it's only closed 1 hour. And that is over a 2 calendar day time frame and therefore has different kind of price action. But if you look basically at daily data charts, they're very similar. But if you look at shorter term time frames, you can see a lot of differences. So we did not get a buy signal out of the spider at the bottom, and that would have been here because it didn't quite get oversold within the allotted past number of days, earlier days. and we missed the rally on the spider, but not the E-mini. We got it. Now, the short time frame, 1 minute chart on the spider, we're just coming up pretty good. I see we hit a little resistance yesterday, Friday, that is, and this morning, or yesterday afternoon, more exactly said. And we have made minor new lows, so it is dribbling back off slightly, but there's no real push to the downside here. I don't know, guys. I think there's a chance we could see more strength. I'm just waiting for it to happen one way or the other. Bearish reversals, get more confident about the long, bear side, or a breakout to the upside, and talk about it getting overbought within the next few days. And still, October is, a couple of weeks away. So there's tons of time for this market to flip flop and start to getting a little bit bearish, whether there's a big rally or not. Next, QQQ, daily data. We caught the bottom of the break, almost the lows, with a bullish engulfing just last week on Wednesday and made a very good entry. Right now, the trade is still profitable because we are long from way down here around, I don't know, let's just call it 459.40-ish, and currently trading at 471-ish. Our stop did move down on the rare circumstance. So we have gap code occurring. That means if the market opens below what our previous stop was on Friday, we make adjustments and we lower. That's the only situation in which we actually back up the stop in the wrong direction. You would have gotten stopped out if your stop was in on the opening this morning, and we have no stop order in for the first minute in order to step aside exactly what this has done. Now, so we would have gotten stopped out a little higher. That's great, but there's a chance it could bottom out and go back up again, and that's why we have gap code. And it saves the day several times. In fact, it wasn't long ago the spider was short, gapped up, gap code took place, and then went straight back down again, and we made a very good trade, but we would have taken a loss if we had no gap code. Good. Now, this is the 1 minute QQQ, still long. There's the trade line, the green one moving up and down with the current quote. Our stop is now down to here, but it's still protecting a profit. Next chart. Buy signal last Wednesday on the NASDAQ. We are still, looks like we got bumped out this morning. Yep, we did. So we're now flat, but are we forming a top here? Didn't get overbought. Simply came up to a resistance line, bumped it on Friday, and is starting to work its way lower. One of the other indexes are not much lower. The spider, 0.5 point. E-mini, 4.5. The Q's, 3 points. We'll get to the Russell in a second. And here's the NASDAQ futures. And by the way, we have now rolled today into the December futures contract. We are now watching and plotting the current quotes for December futures for the indexes, the E-mini, Russell, and the NQ. All right. And the YM also. So we're out. Nice profitable trade. Past tense. Here's the details. Stop didn't get a chance to move up during this session. No new highs, no increase in RSI, etc. Came down, stopped us out. We're now flat and trading almost exactly at the price we got out at. Okay, so now I'm waiting for, some definitive situation one way or the other. My bias is basically bearish because of the October lows. Next, YM daily data chart did make a new historic high early. Something of note, when markets make new highs for a significant amount of time, let's say weeks and more, and then give it away and not maintain a current quote or a closing price today above the previous highs, that frequently is not good and ends up producing a sell signal. So, or a top, I should say, not necessarily a signal, unless you turn it into some sort of a strategy. And that, something you can build. So here we have a new high. And now, although it's still up 126, it's nowhere near the high of the previous rallies. So we got to go back up and close above, let's call it 42, yeah, 4100, 42, sorry, comma 100, 42,100. Then we have a closing above the previous highs. So we'll see if we get the follow through strength or not and what happens. But this could be a failure on a breakout. Looking at the 1 minute data, it was a sharp rally this morning around 7 o'clock California time just before that created the highest high. But then everything fell back and we're just fiddling around here slightly higher momentarily. If this thing starts to make new lows for the session, it could turn into a real sell signal. We are not overbought on the daily chart I just turned back to. So we're not going to get a red signal, but all the other stuff I just mentioned. And it's going to look like a triple top, and they're fairly rare. YM, still the 1 minute again. So now let's go to the Russell. Not the same chart. We came up to resistance, not quite overbought. We're still a little higher on the day. We are out now, got stopped out near the low today, but green, profitable trade, not crying over spilt milk. You can't catch the bottom of the top day every time, or you can try. My ER signals does try to get tops and bottoms. Entries are outstanding often. Exits, adequate. Very good. Bottom line, damn good. Now, we're out. We're flat. Got bumped out on the break this morning, up against the top of resistance area. I'm hoping it turns down. Next, the Russell 1 minute. There's our offset and detail. Bounce back a little. We'll see what happens. Obviously, my bias is bearish, but I'm not seeing the price action. So I'm forced to give it more of a neutral analysis, so to speak. I can't turn bullish quite yet because I haven't gotten all the stuff I need to turn outright bullish. Next, bonds. Still hovering around the same approximate price levels it has for now about a week, up against the bear trend line. Now, the trend is up for the last several months for almost a year now, which is not helping my bearish expectations. But I'm looking for a low in this green circle during October and in this approximate price range. That'll help the stock market, I think, work somewhat lower also. But neither one of them are really cooperating yet, so I'm off balance at the moment. I got to get some kind of a big reversal going. And if we do close below yesterday's low or get below yesterday's low and then close below yesterday's close, and that happens today, we were overbought in the last few days. We'll have a red sell signal, but it's not happening yet. It's up 14 ticks right now. You got to flip-flop and make it below yesterday's low. Not happening. So it could pop up and start, rallying even more. I'm not getting all the stuff I like to be more optimistic about my commentary coming true. Next, notes. Basically the same thing, except notes did get overbought today and within the last few days. Plus, notes have been higher than yesterday's high and are still in a resistance area and up against a bear trend line. They're higher on the day like bonds. And what's lacking is the lower low than yesterday's low. Then we'll have a sell signal. Remember, bonds did not get today, although it did a few days ago. So yeah, we could have a sell signal in bonds also. It just has to start dropping, and neither one are really doing that. It can change in a flash. Pay attention. Watch these markets. Could happen real quick. Let's go to crude oil and the energies and the other futures markets. So Rally in progress, coming up against a previous bull trend line. That's common. Told you a few days ago this would be likely. So it's happened, past tense. Right now, a little higher on the day. I think it's going to try to top out soon and end up making lower lows. Neutral to bearish on crude. Next, natural gas. Basically neutral to bearish here also. Looking for a sell signal, not getting quite the criteria that I want. At resistance, not yet. Do we have a double bottom breakout to the upside? No. The formation is there, but it's not breaking out, so it's not good yet. So there's a possibility of a rally all the way up to 2.892 or whatever, because of the double bottom and a buy signal at the very lowest low. Our signal system, ER signals, did get a trade on at the bottom of the market and another couple of complementary ones after. So I'm friendly because of the signals and the possible double bottom. We just don't have the breakout. Next, looking at the heating oil, oversold conditions, certainly could have a rally. Trying, but not really succeeding very well. If the rally does develop, I'm going to get up to about 2.26 maybe. And there's a chance of a little bit higher than that, but I can't turn bullish. I can only turn friendly, a little bit of a rally, short term. Next, overbought conditions in gold, silver, and platinum. No bearish engulfing so far. Now, gold did have an upside breakout on Thursday. I said so. We did get follow through on Friday. Now on Friday overbought and again today. So now I'm waiting for that bearish engulfing to scream bloody murder. It's about to come down again, which I am expecting, but I'm not jumping the gun. I have to wait for the signals. So I think it's top heavy, looking for a downside correction. Silver, 2 days overbought, longer term bearish, head and shoulder top, basically still the major pattern, but I didn't expect it to come up into these price ranges and take this long to do it. I thought that that was going to be the final rally, which would have been very typical, and it was going to be on its way down to making total new lows. But support ended up holding, and here we are overbought again. So let's see if it'll turn around again. I'm basically bearish on silver because the downside objective is supposed to be 24.5. Platinum, almost identical story. Head and shoulder top formation. It did make lower lows on the break a week or two ago. Silver did not quite do that, but platinum did. Now we're overbought again, looking for the downside objective to be fulfilled at around 808 on platinum. Now, we got a buy signal almost on the low on August 12th for copper. A couple days later, another one. They worked out just fine. We came all the way back down to almost the same lows a couple of weeks ago. Got another buy signal at the low, September 5th. Today, another new high since our bottom buy signal, and it's particularly interesting. This looks like a legitimate, decent double bottom formation. Today, for the first time, we have challenged the breakout level, which is exactly at 431.85. Today's high is 431.70. 15 ticks, very small amount, below the breakout. We need 431.86 or higher to close above the previous rally high and break out of this double bottom formation, which has a buy signal on both lows essentially. One of them is exactly the lowest low just recently, and the other one was almost. So this is working great. If we do close in that new high close above 86.0080, whatever it is, then the upside objective would kick in, and that's 4.6310. Looking good. I think it's about to happen. We're not that close to overbought, but that's typical on an upside breakout during formations. They get overbought or come close to overbought. And then with a breakout, they oftentimes do get overbought. And that leads to your little retracement back to support. Next, soybeans, oil, meal, corn, wheat, hogs, cattle and hogs. Beans, we got a sell signal in the high of the rally. Great. We're still short. I haven't fiddled around with changing the stop and speeding it up yet. This is an ER1 overnight. No, sorry, ER3 overnight short because it got short the day after ER1 signal day. It's doing great. There's the green trade line. I got no complaints, except I'm going to lower the stop probably for tomorrow. I think it's about to make new lows. My expectation is going to challenge the bottom of the breaks that we have seen so far. And where's my crosshair cursor? Good. I think it's going to come down to about 960 and maybe even lower than that. I'm bearish. Soybean oil got a buy signal a few weeks ago. It worked out very, very nicely. When it got overbought and bumped against resistance, we got out that same day automatically. I didn't do anything. I may have tightened the stop up on the way up, but then it got out when it automatically got out. And that's past tense. Now we're coming down pretty good, a little higher at the moment, but we have a new low for the trend at today's lows. And it's pretty consistently dribbling down here for the last couple of weeks. Bearish, looking for new lows. Meal, essentially the same story, but it got overbought and bumped the trend line. And now we're doing a doji at the moment. And I do expect it to start breaking previous lows and test the support area at 300 and lower. I'm neutral to bearish. Corn, neutral to bearish. Unfortunately, didn't get a buy signal at the very bottom. The two lows on these two dates, August 26 and 27, were exactly the same tick. So no lower low, no bullish engulfing, but came so close. Would have been a great buy signal because it did rally nicely. But now we've got a resistance that is, for the second day in a row, Friday and today, stopping the rally, and it did the same thing a few days ago. So resistance is working. We just don't have any signals, and I am neutral to bearish. Wheat, overbought. Now starting to work down below Friday's overbought condition, and we got overbought on Thursday of last week because of its rally high. Remember, my custom relative strength index doesn't pay attention to the closing prices necessarily. It pays attention to how high the market got during the day. Did it get in overbought condition? If yes, then it's overbought. Not on the close, but anytime during the day, and vice versa, oversold. So it's a lot more sensitive, if you will. So wheat is yellow because it got to 75 or higher any moment during any of the last several days. I'm looking for a move down. Didn't get a sell signal yet. I could still get one, but I'm kind of thinking that the break to the downside is starting today. Cattle, not much to say. Possible bottom formation, no upside breakout. This is kind of like, what was it, meal or corn, a few days ago where it didn't quite match the high between the two lows. But this does have the makings of a double bottom. These two lows are almost exactly the same. The high, you need to close above that in order to have a breakout. And Friday was the highest high since the low formation, bottom formation started to develop. So there's a possibility here. Keep your eye on a possible breakout. Also, any kind of a sell signal that could ruin the formation. And they do. Next. Oh, by the way, this double top formation in a resistance area, which got overbought on the second rally high, did work great. And here's your major breakout day, that huge down day here. This closing price was not quite good enough, but pretty damn close. for all practical purposes, most people would call that a downside breakout, and I would not disagree. Nevertheless, the whole point is it worked great, and the minimum downside objective worked great. This is a bottom formation which hasn't broken out to the upside yet. Hogs, resistance, overbought, turned it down. No signal, unfortunately. Too bad. Neutral the last few days, sideways, looking for lower levels. And let's go back to the E-mini, which is down about the same as when I started my recording. And the 1 minute E-mini, real quick. Yeah, it's been gaining just a little bit in the last few minutes. What about the Russell NASDAQ? Yeah, dipping momentarily, slight little bit. But again, no big upside, downside moves. You have a great day and profitable trading to you.